Good evening. Welcome to our Chamber Workshop Series. The Colorado River Valley Chamber of Commerce exists to be a catalyst, collaborator, and champion for our businesses and our communities. The Colorado Mountain College aspires to serve and elevate the economic, social, cultural, and environmental vitality of its beautiful Rocky Mountain region by welcoming all learners through its doors, delivering highly relevant education and training, and serving as a trusted partner for strategic collaboration and innovation. Together, tonight, these two organizations have joined forces to meet the needs of our business community through education and collaboration. Tonight's speaker, Tiffany Dickinson, Tiffany is the Executive Director of AGNC, that's the Associated Governments of Northwest Colorado. She has been with the organization since 2016 and brings deep expertise in rural economic development, policy advocacy, and intergovernmental collaboration. She led the effort to secure the region's designation as Economic Development District, manages the Northwest Enterprise Zone, and oversees complex grant programs that expand funding access and support community-driven priorities. With a strong track record of building partnerships and influencing state and federal policy, she plays a key role in shaping the future of Northwest Colorado. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for having me this evening. Again, my name is Tiffany Dickinson. I'm the Executive Director for Associated Governments of Northwest Colorado. You guys have probably never heard of us before. We are actually considered to be a local government. We are a council of governments, and that just means that we represent the rights and the needs of the local governments that we're representing, which are the 4 counties in Northwest Colorado: Mesa, Moffett, Rio Blanco, and Garfield County. We also have the Economic Development District designation, which are those 4 counties, and then we also add in Routt County, and then our Enterprise Zone, which is 8 counties, and that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about tonight. So to start off with, what is the Enterprise Zone? It is a state program. It is administered through several different economic development organizations or councils of governments like mine. There are 16 enterprise zones in the state of Colorado. They are all managed locally, but again, driven by the state. We have 8 counties in our northwest region. So that's Grand, Jackson, Gilpin, Garfield, Clear Creek, Moffett, Rio Blanco, and Routt. This is our current map right now, and you'll see up there in the purple corner there in the northwest, that's our region. We do actually have to go through, since 2013, we have to go through a mandatory redesignation of the boundaries. And so that's actually coming up this year. We're working on it to figure out where we'll have included in our enterprise zone this year, and that will take effect January 1st, 2026. We've been having a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a slowdown with the state on that this year, but it sounds like we're about to get underway. So it's pretty exciting times. That some of those holes are going to get filled in, and others may appear on that map. So what for the enterprise zone, there's distress metrics that you actually have to meet to qualify. So that's a population growth of less than 25% of the state average, an unemployment rate of greater than 25% of the state average, and per capita income at less than 75% of the state average. So those are what actually qualifies the locations to be in the enterprise zone. We can do amendments after we add or after we go through this redesignation process, but the ones that we start out with in 2026, those will remain in there for the next 10 years. But we can add additional pieces if we find that they are meeting the distress metrics that they weren't meeting previously. That went really fast that time. And so then there's also the enhanced rural enterprise zones, and I kind of zoomed in on this to show the hatch marks there, and for some reason have not updated this map to include Route and Rio Blanco, but essentially what the enhanced rural enterprise zone does is that allows to double one of the tax credits for the net new employee tax credit. So you have to actually show 2 additional distress metrics in order to qualify as an enhanced enterprise zone. So currently, Garfield is nowhere near the potential to join that, but we do have a few that have just joined because there was new legislation regarding the coal communities. So actually, Route, Moffett, and Rio Blanco are all considered Tier 1 coal communities that are rural. So they are now being included and actually they're being included for the enhanced section for 10 full years. Usually that's done every other year, the redesignation on that part. Let's see here. So this is actually, it's 2 programs in one, and I'm going to kind of separate out this presentation based on the 2 separate sections. So there's a business side, and that's for profit, and then we have what are called contribution projects, and those are for nonprofits and for local governments. So wanted to talk about, again, going into the business tax credits here. This program includes several different credits, as you can see. They all have different rules around them, but there are a lot of different opportunities that we can go through here. We do suggest that you check out the Enterprise Zone Tax Guide, which is available at the OEDIT website. Let me take a sip here. All right, so the first one we have is the investment tax credit. And this is just 3% of business personal property investment. So anything that you're spending in your business, up to 3% for those expenses for the depreciable, you'll get that 3% tax credit on there. Then we have the job training tax credit, and for the job training, this is actually above and beyond just their normal position. So if you were wanting to add in additional services that you're providing, or different offerings, even just for your employees, you could do things like CPR, any of those types would qualify under this. It's 12% of the eligible training costs. And then we have the commercial vehicle investment tax credit, and this is on new vehicles. It's 1.5% of the purchase price. This is a strange credit that you actually have to go directly through OEDIT, so I don't have a lot of information on it. I do know that it is very underutilized. So if you're purchasing any commercial vehicles, then you should definitely check into that, and I can get you the contact information for the state. The net new employee credit, this one is very good. It's $1,100 per net new employee every year. Ag producers also get an additional $500 on top of that. And then again, if you're in an enhanced enterprise zone, that's when this one actually doubles, as well as that ag processor. So you can actually be getting up to $3,000 in an enhanced rural enterprise zone. And then we have the employer-sponsored health insurance. This one's a little strange too. It's only for the first 2 full years that you're in the enterprise zone, and that's when you're covering at least 50% of the health insurance for your employees, and for those first 2 years, you can receive up to $1,000 per net new employee insured under your health insurance program. And then R&D, 3% of an increase in research and development expenses for that. And the vacant building rehab credit, so you can get 25% of the rehabilitation costs, up to $50,000 in credits, or $200,000 in costs. The building that you're rehabbing, it is required that it is at least 20 years old and it has been completely vacant for the last 2 years. There's also the sales and use tax exemption. This is specifically for manufacturing and mining in the enterprise zone. These are actually separate forms again, and if you need more information on it, I'd be happy to provide that for you. It isn't really included within the actual enterprise zone as far as the pre-certifying and certifying. And this is how you qualify. So it's very important to understand every business that is located inside an enterprise zone is eligible for these tax credits. You do have to pre-certify every year on this. And we do suggest that you go ahead and pre-certify whether or not you plan on actually making any of those investments, just in case. You can certify in the middle of the year if it's necessary. But it is only effective from the beginning of the date that you pre-certified until the end of your fiscal year, and it does follow your fiscal year on there. So at the end of your fiscal year, when you're doing your taxes, you're just gonna fill out the certification form, and it's all available on the OEdit portal. You just really, for the pre-certification, it's really just asking you for your contact information, where you're located, what kind of business you're in, and we just verify that you're actually located in the enterprise zone, and then we approve your pre-certification. And then it's when you do your certification, and you'll be submitting the actual expenses that you did invest over the last year. We do not ask for a lot of information. We are not auditors, so we basically take a look at your certification, make sure it looks like it's right, and just be aware that you are open for audit whenever that comes up. So then we do an approval on that certification. It will automatically shoot out a certificate to you, and you can use that to file with your taxes. They do actually have a weird requirement that you have to file online with these. So then the second part of the enterprise zone is the contribution projects. So the legislature, when they came up with the enterprise zones back in 1986, they realized that nonprofits and governments can't use tax credits. And all of those business tax credits are not transferable. So there are other state tax credits where local governments are able to use them and then sell them, and they can utilize those tax credits. But because these are non-transferable, you cannot sell them. And so they came up with what's called the contribution projects. And this is an incredibly beneficial tool for helping out our nonprofits and local governments to fundraise for different projects. They do have to be economic development projects. It helps us achieve our economic development goals. We're looking for job creation, retention, and business expansion. It's really important to know that these are public-private partnerships, and so businesses can be involved in these. We just have to have a nonprofit or local government that actually applies. So there are two types of projects that you can do. You can do a capital campaign, and that's going to include building something. So you've got community facilities, workforce, housing, tourist attractions, and infrastructure that are all available for the capital campaigns. And then you've also got the operations projects, so specifically just for the things that you're working on. We've got business assistance, that's what the chamber would fall under, economic development organizations, any job training programs, visitor event attractions, healthcare, and should have gotten the homeless off of there. Homeless is no longer included under the enterprise zone program. It now is falling under its own program. And you can actually also have a capital campaign and an operations project mixed together. We do that a lot of times just to avoid doing a second application. But the benefits of having this program is that when you receive a donation, you can give up to 25% in a tax credit for a cash donation. If it's in kind, including services, then it's 12.5%. Stock transfers actually fall under the in-kind as well. You can earn up to $100,000 in tax credits annually, so that would be like $400,000 in cash that you donate. You can earn up to $100,000, and then if you can't use all of that this year, then you've got 5 years to carry that forward that you can use that going forward. There is a paper certification. There's no pre-certification with this one. Essentially, whoever is holding the project just submits when they get the contributions, and we approve those, and it kicks out another certification. So just to go over the services that we don't include in the enterprise zones, they're things that basically there are other avenues available for funding for them. So social services typically aren't included. Education, especially K through 12, food subsidies and food banks, childcare. Childcare already has another one that's worth, you can get a 50% contribution credit through childcare. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, please come and see me. But homeless prevention is not included, and then animal shelters and humane societies are not. But for those nonprofits and local governments, you can get up to, or you can give up to $750,000 in tax credits every year. And so it's essentially your first $3 million of cash contributions each year. I will say that I've never actually had a contribution project that's maxed out. So, but it does refresh every year. It's very great. $250 is the max that you can declare as the minimum amount to receive that contribution. Again, because these are all local, we do set our own policies. We do administer these locally. I have an office actually right here in Rifle, and I live in Grand Junction, but I have another employees on the Mesa, so we're kind of all over this region. And we monitor the project activities. Again, we go through and we approve all of the contributions that are on there. The contribution projects are a little bit different because you actually have to go through an application process that is fully vetted, and your administrator has to actually present those applications to a peer review in order to get the peer review of all the other administrators, get the approval to move that forward to the Colorado Economic Development Commission, and then they, by law, have to do the final approval on those before they become active. Just a heads up, we do charge an administration fee. It's 1% plus $1 per cash or stock donation on there. So I know I was supposed to take a lot longer than that, and I apologize, but I went into pretty much everything that we have, so I'd be happy to take any questions. So your pre-certification, you can do up to 90 days in advance of your new fiscal cycle or fiscal year. So, if you're on a calendar fiscal year, then October is when you can do your pre-certification. However, if you do it in the middle of the year, which you're allowed to do, it's only effective from that date to the end of your fiscal year. So if you were to do it in March and your fiscal year ends in December, then you cannot claim any expenses that you had in January or February. You'd only be able to claim it from March through December. Of the year that you're in right now. Yeah. Do it before, yeah. Yep. Or even October, Yes. If you're on that January fiscal year, yeah. Yes. Right. Right. So the accountants from our region, they're very aware of it. People that are not from our region, not necessarily, and so I have to explain a lot of it to them. But any questions that they have, I'm always happy to answer those, and anything that I'm unable to answer, we'll send them over to the Department of Revenue. What other questions do we have? So we don't have a lot of contribution projects here in Garfield County, I'll say. We do have about 40 projects across our 8-county region. I think we only have 4 or 5 right here in Garfield County. Habitat for Humanity really takes advantage of that. They've got a couple projects in Glenwood as well as one in Rifle. Trying to think who else we have. We just started one with the CSU Extension as well. They're building some interesting outdoor education spaces. So, but we're always looking for more in any way that we can help out with economic development in the region.
So for a lot of these credits, do these projects already need to be in the works, or is this something that you can anticipate if you're like gearing up?
Either way.
Okay.
Yep.
And is there a list where people can go and access it all on the OEdit website?
Yes. Yep. In order to actually start up an application for it, you'll have to get in touch with us for those contribution projects. You can do self-service on the business side, but on the other side with the detailed applications, we have to help out with those.
So on those enterprise tax credits, which do you find are your most utilized?
I would say definitely the investment tax credit and the net new employee.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised people aren't taking more advantage of the training. That was pretty substantial tax credit.
Yeah, I think that there's just not a lot of expenses that people are putting into the additional trainings because it's not just when you're onboarding your new employees, it's the additional trainings.
And I have to chat with you about some of our agent committee additional trainings, ongoing trainings throughout the year. And sounds like maybe we should be taking advantage of some of those.
As the chamber,
Right.
as the chamber, you should be taking advantage of becoming a contribution project. We should talk about that. So it definitely will qualify under business assistance.
So it sounds like there's no reason that somebody shouldn't be taking advantage of that investment credit. Like that's something that pretty much applies to every business.
Right, to the businesses, the for-profits. Yeah, as long as you're in the enterprise zone, you're eligible, but you have to pre-certify. That is that big one. I have to just really drive it home. You have to pre-certify before you make that investment. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I do have a couple of business cards if you guys want to take those. If you have any questions in the future, please reach out and let us know. Always available to help out.
No, that was just, you got right to the point. And sometimes that's exactly what we need, isn't it? Thank you, Tiffany, for being here. We're so appreciative of the information that you shared tonight. Just as a reminder, these are recorded. They will be posted on our website. If you have follow-up questions or needed to review, please go and find that at any time. We do have a survey here by the exit. If you would take just a minute just to tell us a little bit about what you thought, what we did well, how we could improve so we can make sure that we bring all the best resources to you guys, the stuff that you're actually looking for. Our next workshop will be on July 9th. We have Scott Rust from the City of Rifle coming in to talk about Sales Tax 101. We hope you'll join us there. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.